The Paycheck Protection Program is the flagship program from the stimulus package that Congress and President signed into law late March. This is a $350 billion package designed to help small businesses keep the doors open and keep the employees on staff. I'm Hector Garcia. I'm a CPA, and I have hundreds of clients calling me and emailing me to ask me about this program. And in this video, I'm going to explain everything that I explain to my clients when they call me and walk you step by step with everything that you need to have ready for going into the bank and requesting a loan under the Paycheck Protection Program. So first, this is different than the Economic Injury Disaster Program that the SBA is doing, which is a direct loan that the SBA, which is a government agency, is giving to small businesses directly. In the description, I have a different video that I posted yesterday about how to apply for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. It's an entirely different program, and I explain a little bit more detail about that in that different video. So check the description for that. In this video, I'm going to talk about the Paycheck Protection Program, which is a loan that's going to be given from a bank to a small business. Now, the bank is going to have a government guarantee. The government is going to guarantee the loan 100%. So the bank is going to have a lot less risk. So it should be a much easier, much faster process to get that loan from the bank. Now, one of the most important parts of the Paycheck Protection Program is that once you get funded through the bank, you're going to get that amount forgiven. That means free money. That means you won't have to pay it back as long as it fits very specific guidelines. So I'm actually going to walk you through all the guidelines so you're 100% prepared to apply for this loan and to know exactly what you need to do in order to get this assistance from the government, this free money, essentially, get the loan forgiven. So I'm in the U.S. Treasury website, and I'm actually going to go through the 4 documents that were published recently in there and kind of explain to you what it is. So let me start with the overview of the program. So the Small Business Paycheck Protection Program will fund businesses to pay for 8 weeks of payroll costs, including benefits, plus interest on mortgages, rent, and utilities. In other words, it is designed to give you 8 weeks worth of payroll, rent, utilities, which is the basic necessities that you need in order to keep the doors open in your business. Now, the mechanics, exactly how that's calculated, is going to be a little bit different. We're going to go into that detail. Now, it says it's going to be fully forgiven, and it says here that as long as the funds are used, and you're going to have to prove that, this is where your accountant is your best friend, your bookkeeper is your best friend. You're going to have really clean records of how the money was specifically used to pay payroll, health insurance, mortgages, and rent. Now, they're going to require that at least 75% of the amount comes from payroll in order to get it forgiven. So if you end up having a lot less payroll and maybe a lot of rent or whatever, it's going to limit it to 75% for payroll. So obviously, the intention of this program is to keep your employees on staff. Now, one thing that's really, really important here is you must keep your employees or rehire quickly. So if you're a business owner and you had to lay off a bunch of people, rehire them. If you're unemployed now and you worked for a small business and your employer doesn't know, your boss doesn't know, call your boss and say, dude, you can hire me, apply for this loan. You can hire me, you can get the team back. And I got to tell you, that's got to be a great feeling to be able to recover that during this financial crisis. Now, another really important part of the relief from this loan is that the loan payments will be deferred for 6 months. That means once you get funded, let's say you get funded May 1st, you don't have to make the first payment until 6 months later. So you're not only forgiving the loan, you're also giving sort of an interest-free loan for 6 months, which is amazing. And then you have no collateral or personal guarantee, which means that traditionally banks want to make sure you have great credit, want to make sure that you have a house or some sort of real estate, or that you commit to paying the loan back if you default and ruin your credit. Essentially, even if you do a bankruptcy, you probably have to pay the loan back. So these loans are not requiring that, which means banks are going to be a lot looser, a lot quicker to fund these payment protection loans. And also, neither government nor lender is going to charge fees. That means that the loan will also be free, basically, when you actually close it. There won't be all these closing costs. I assume there'll be some costs, but it says here that neither will charge. Now, that leads me to believe that that now you're going to have more cash available from the proceeds to pay your accountant, pay your attorney, pay the professional that helps you expedite this process. You know, I'm an accountant, we're working really hard to help our clients put these loans together so they can close quickly, so they can have all the documents, payroll information, all that stuff. That's our specialty. We put financial statements together, we put these numbers together. So work with an accountant and pay them whatever they charge, $2,000, whatever they charge, because if they help you get that money and it's free money, I think it'll be the best investment you ever made. Anyway, another really important piece is you want to maintain salary level. So you can't reduce people's salaries. I'm sure there's going to be a specific formula. I don't think they have posted that here, but you have to have at least probably 90% of the original salaries. That would be my best guess. So that would be the number they look at. And also, you also are going to get less of a forgiveness. You can have less of a free money or grant if you actually reduce the number of employees. So you also want to keep your head count at the original level and the wages and salaries at the original level. Now, who qualifies for this? Regular businesses, nonprofits as well. And what's really crazy about this is, even though it's called the Paycheck Protection Program, so I'm not 100% sure how that works if you don't have employees, but it says here that if you're a self-employed individual, if you're a sole proprietor and an independent contractor, you still be eligible as long as there's less than 500 employees. So I don't know what the mechanics are, because I don't know how you calculate, the payroll costs when it comes to that. But this is great news. And once the banks start taking applications for this, which will probably be somewhere mid-April, it actually says here that starting April 3rd, the banks will start being able to take loans for small business and sole proprietors. And then it looks like April 10th, banks will start taking applications for independent contractors and self-employed individuals. So I really have no idea, what the process is, if it's going to be different for each one, but this is great news in whichever category you're in. Now it says here, we encourage you to apply as quickly as possible because there's a funding cap. What that means, it means hurry up. It means call your accountant. It means get your books ready. It means first come, first serve. Now, how to apply? This says that you apply through your lender. That means there's no specific website to go to for this. You have to call your bank, call the bank that you have an account with, contact them and ask them what's the process. Now, I'm going to assume that banks are going to be bombarded with this. Plus, we got social distancing issues. A lot of banks' branches are closed or not going to be able to have a big capacity of people. So I'm going to make the assumption that when banks open this up, it's all going to be online. So go to your bank's websites, check that out. Check the description below. As soon as I know the application links to all the banks, I'm going to just fill this description of this specific video with all the links to all the banks. As I find them, I'm just going to build a database of every single bank and every single link as I see them. So, make sure you hit like on this video, add some comments, ask some questions, so that way you get notified when updates are coming in. So that's the first document. Let me hit back. So now we know the overview. We know exactly what the program's all about, what's the intention of it. Now let's talk about information to the lender. Now I assume that most of you are not lenders. If you are wanting to get into the lending business, obviously this document would be interesting for you. But one thing that I find really interesting from this specific document is you will need to verify the dollar amount of the average monthly payroll cost. That means that one really important requirement for the lender, which they're going to have to document, is what exactly is the payroll cost for whatever period they'll look back at, which I assume it will be either all of 2019 or February 15th, 2019 through February 15th, 2020. It will be any look back period of 12 months before you actually apply. So that means that you need to have the documents ready. You can't walk in to the application and say, I don't know what my payroll costs are. So that's a really important piece. Then how will lenders be compensated? Obviously, we don't care too much about this. That's how much money the lenders make. But check this out. Who can be an agent? An agent is an authorized representative, and we got attorney, accountants, consultants, someone else that applies basically anyone that helps someone fill out the application can get paid. Now the agent fees are paid out. They're paid out of the lender fee. So the lender will pay the agent. This is really interesting. The agent cannot collect fees from the applicant. So I'm guessing if you're an attorney, a consultant, an accountant, whatever, and you want to charge your client, there's going to be a process for you to charge whatever your fees are to help someone put it together. And at the loan closing, you will get paid, which I figured this is a really good thing to help accountants and consultants and attorneys help their clients get this done ASAP, because it behooves you to get this done as soon as possible. As we talked about earlier, it's going to be first come, first serve basis. Now look at the how the agents will be compensated. So check this out. So if the loan is under $350,000, an agent can get paid up to 1%. So think about it. It's a pretty big chunk of money, right? If you help somebody get $350,000, you get $3,500. Okay, I guess that's what it means. So there's something interesting here. I haven't gotten paid yet for an SBA loan, so I couldn't tell you firsthand exactly how this works, but I find that document to be really, really interesting. And then it says here, can these loans be sold in the secondary market? I guess we don't care about that. All right, so let's get out of that document. And I guess that was pretty interesting. Let's look at the third one that says, if you're a borrower, more information. Okay, let's see what this one says. So this one says that the Paycheck Protection Program is $350 billion of forgivable loans. So the intention for this is to forgive them. The government wants to give this money away. The government wants to put money in the economy for this. So all these loans are with the intention of not getting paid back, of getting free money, grants to these small businesses. But the purpose is to get employees paid, to keep employees on staff. So that's a really important thing. Then it says the loan amount will be forgiven as long as you use the payroll. We talked about this. You used it to pay payroll and rent and utility for the 8 weeks after the loan is made. So you're going to have special accounting from the moment you get funded through those 8 weeks. So make sure you got your QuickBooks ready. Make sure you got your accountant and bookkeeper ready. Employee and compensation levels are maintained. So you got to keep the head count. You can't reduce the payroll. Payroll costs are capped at $100,000 on an annualized basis for each employee. So I assume, I guess what this means is that if you have any employees that get paid more than $100,000, the compensation over $100,000 will not be forgivable. So when you calculate what your total payroll costs are, you're probably going to have to remove the excess of the $100,000 to come up with that calculation. And then it says here, due to highly subscription, that means a lot of applicants, it is anticipated that no more than 25% of the forgiven amount may not be for non-payroll costs. So what they're saying is only 75% of the forgiven amount will come from payroll, which means that the intention for this is to keep payroll, period. Okay. Then it says loan payments will be deferred for 6 months. We talked about that. When can we apply? Okay, April 3rd, starting April 3rd through existing SBA lenders. So if you're watching this and it's April 3rd, call your bank. If your accountant is a keen individual that has relationship with banks, that might be a great point of contact. If you call your accountant, and I'm sorry, accountants, and you guys are like, I don't know where you can go, then I'm sorry. Your accountant should be on top of this. So maybe you should consider changing accountants. And if you're an accountant, you're watching this, watch out, because your clients are going to watch this video and they're going to call you and then expect you to know which banks have it, what's the process for this. Now, starting April 10th, independent contractors. So I guess that's going to be a different lending process. Again, I don't know what the mechanics of payroll are and how that payroll is calculated. But then we have all the regulated lenders will be available. So I assume that new lenders that are not traditional banks will be there. Now, where can I apply? It says here, through your SBA lender. Visit SBA for more information. I visited, there's no information there. who can apply? All businesses under 500 employees. And then it says here, this program affiliation standards will be waived in hotel and food services. Affiliation standards. So let me explain what that is. When you are an owner of multi-location business, and the affiliation forces you to add up all the employees to figure out what the 500 count. In other words, if you own 7 restaurants and between all 7 you have more than 500 employees, as long as these are all different entities, you probably are going to be okay not going over that 500. I think that's what it means. And then it looks like for a franchise, there's going to be like a whole nother process. So I don't know how that works, but that's as much as I understand. Again, I don't have all the answers. I can only read and interpret. It says, what do I need to do to apply? So it says here, you will need a complete loan application, which I assume your bank will give you that, but I'll give you a copy of the one that I have, because that would be useful. Submit the application with all the documents before June 30th. So that's an important one, right? So you want to get this done as soon as possible. What other documents do I need? Well, you need to provide your payroll documentation. So obviously, that's really important. Do I need to look for other funds first? So this is really important because in the world of SBA, typically you've had to look for funds the traditional way before you can apply for SBA. So they're waiving that requirement. That means that your first place you go to could be this loan, which is great. How long will it last? Well, right here, June 30th. Okay, that's really simple. How many loans can I take out? Only one. Okay, that was good. What can I use for these loans? Okay, that's it here. Payroll costs, including benefits, mortgage, interest incurred before. So the amount you incurred before February 15th, and then rent and lease agreements before rent 15, and utilities before. I don't understand that. Well, I'm sorry, I don't understand why before February 15th, but I assume that anything you had accumulated up to the point of the 15th, plus all the new ones from the 15th to the 8-week period, could be added up. That one's actually not 100% clear to me. I assume your lender will be more clear with that. What counts as payroll? Okay, there we go. So we got salary and wages, no more than $100,000 a year. Beautiful. Employee benefits, including vacation, rental, parental leave, family leave, sick leave. Okay, that's all great. So any paid vacations, paid leave, health insurance, retirement benefits. So that means a 401k matching or simple IRA matching would qualify for this. So that's good. State and local taxes. So I guess additional taxes, unemployment taxes, and that sort of thing would count. And look at this one. For a solo proprietor or independent contractor, wages, commission, income, net earnings from self-employment capped at $100,000 will be counted as an employee. Interesting. So I guess what this means is if you are self-employed and you don't have employees, your own wages that you make as a sole proprietor up to $100,000 count for this. So this is actually very interesting. Good starting point. I don't know exactly what that means, but good starting point. How large can the loan be? Okay, so it can be up to 2 months of your average monthly cost from the last year plus 25% of the amount. So that's 2.5 months. That's what that means. So what you do is you take the last 12 months worth of payroll. So the entire last 12 month worth of payroll. It doesn't say here specifically what the look period is. I'm going to assume maybe this will be February 15th, 2019 to February 15th, 2020. You take the payroll cost during that time, you divide it by 12, so that gives you your average monthly, and then you multiply that times 2.5. So easy, if you paid $200,000 worth of payroll, let's say easier, $240,000 worth of payroll for the whole year, you divide that by 12, so that would be $20,000 average monthly. You multiply that times 2.5, so that's going to give you $50,000 of 2.5 times the monthly payroll. So that would be the loan amount. And then as long as you take $50,000 and you pay your rent, your utilities, and payroll, and you don't reduce headcount, and at least 75% of that is payroll and mortgage interest, or actually mortgage interest and rent. So as long as you use that money to pay for that during the 8 weeks after you get the money, it will be forgiven. So that's exactly what this says here. Now it says here, your loan forgiveness will be reduced by your decrease in headcount. So that sounds to me that for every person that you don't keep, the money will go down. So you probably want to rehire people. It says right here, you have until June 30th to restore full-time employee and the same salary levels between February 15th and April. Wow, this is a crazy deadline. So what this basically means, let me see. Okay, so what this means is you have by June 30th to hire everybody back to put them at the same level that they would have been between February 15th and April 26th. I don't know why April 26th. It sounds like a random date, but that's what it says. That's what the guidelines say. Now, how can we request a forgiveness? Look at this. You can submit the request to the lender. The request will include documents to verify number of employees. So you have to rely on your accountant and your payroll company or your payroll service. You're going to have all the pay rates and then also the expenses, right? The lease and the utility and the obligations. You must certify the documents that are true. I assume you sign some form where you say, I certify that these are true. And you must keep the employees, and they make the decision. The lender must make the decision. Very interesting. So befriend your banker. So your lender makes a decision. So I assume that as long as you give them the documents, you're good to go within 60 days. What is my interest rate? 0.5%. So I assume if there's a portion that doesn't get forgiven, that would be the 0.5%. And where do I need to start paying interest on my loan? 6 months later. Okay, we talked about that. When's my loan due? 2 years. Huh. So it's a 2-year loan. Okay, it's a 2-year loan. Very interesting. Can I prepay it in 2 years? Yes, no prepayment penalties. Perfect. Again, this is for the portion that's not forgiven, right? Where do I need to pledge any collateral? No. Beautiful. Do I need to personal guarantee? No, no personal guarantee. However, if the proceeds are used fraudulently, they pursue you with criminal charges. Nice. Because I suspect there's going to be a lot of fraud with these things, a lot of fake employees, a lot of fake documents. So I like this. I like this. They're going to enforce this. What I need to do to certify. As part of the application, you need to certify in good faith. The current economic uncertainty makes a loan necessary. Okay, so you must be able to say or feel that you're uncertain about the future. Okay, the funds will be used to retain workers. Okay, that's a very clear one. You do not have or will not have another loan. Okay, so this is the only loan you can get for this program. One loan. You'll be able to provide lender documentation that verifies. We talked about that. Loan forgiveness will be provided as a sum. Okay, you have to prove the numbers, and all the information provided has to be accurate, and false statements will be punishable by law. And then also acknowledge that the lender will calculate the loan amount using the tax documents, and you affirm that these are identical with the IRS. You understand and agree the lender can share the tax information with the SBA and verify and all that stuff. And that's it. So the Treasury website, I'll put a link in the description on this. I assume that as they add more stuff, you can go back into the website and see. And if I didn't cover anything, if you have any questions, I promise you I don't have the answers, but I'll try my hardest to clarify anything for you. That's what the description, that's what the comment section is below. Ask your questions. If I have the answer, I'll answer it. If I don't, I'll say, hey, sorry, I don't have the answer. But my recommendation to you is get ready, get prepared. If it's after April 3rd or April 10th or whatever this says, by the time you watch this video, go to your bank. If it's before that, get your documents, get your payroll documents. And if you don't have an accountant, hire one. Right now, having an accountant is the best, most important thing that you need, because if you can't get your documents and they're not right, they're going to decline you. And I don't know what's going to happen if you get declined once, if you'll be able to apply again. So my suggestion is that you make sure that application is squeaky clean. Now, check this out. The fourth document is this one, the application for the borrowers. Now, this is a strange one because it's your bank that takes the loan application. So I don't even know why this application would matter, but I'm assuming that this is the model that they are going to be giving to the banks. So I am almost certain that the banks are going to have an application identical to this. It'll just say Bank of America or Chase on top of it, or it might have small modifications that they want to put. So we got business legal name, address, we got the tax ID, phone number, primary contact, email, trade name, easy stuff. Average monthly payroll. So this is where you divide the monthly payroll for the last 12 months divided by 12. 2 times equals the loan amount. So 2.5 times, I'm going to take this number, multiply it times 2.5. Number of jobs, I assume that means number of full-time employees. Then purpose of the loan, I would say payroll, rent, utilities. Yeah, I would select all of them if I was you. All owners with more than 20%. So every single owner with 20% or more needs to be in this application. So make sure you keep that handy. And you need to have their title, ownership, tax ID or social security number, and their address. Then it says here, have any of the business owners been debarred or ineligible to get federal funding? So hopefully your answer is no. Has the business or any owners ever obtained credit and defaulted? So I assume the answer is no. I hope the answer is no for you. Have any of the owners, I don't know what this means. Do they have more? I guess do they have more businesses? I guess you're going to have to say yes, because you might have to disclose what other businesses those same people own. And they probably want to avoid people from sort of crossing, getting multiple loans to multiple business. I guess, I don't know what, but obviously it means you need to disclose if any of the owners own other businesses or affiliate businesses. Then it says, has the business received an economic injury disaster loan? And as I mentioned earlier, I did a video of doing that. So if you say yes, you're going to have to say yes to that. I don't think it'll disqualify you, but they're probably required to roll that over, or they probably will determine the disaster injury loan as a sort of down payment to this loan. Not sure what the mechanics will look like, but obviously there's going to be an issue if you do both the SBA economic injury disaster and this PPP payroll protection program. Now it says here, are you under indictment or criminal investigation? So you're going to put no, hopefully. And in the last 7 years, have you been charged of a felony, misdemeanor? So I assume the answer is no. I don't know if they'll automatically decline you if you have. I assume they will, but I guess we'll see. And then it says here, are you a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident, or I don't know. Now, when it says I am, I assume this is the person signing the document. This is not very clear. It doesn't say it's every owner a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident. I'm not sure how that would apply. I guess the main person applying for the loan would qualify. And no, I don't know if maybe no will disqualify you. So here you put initials, I guess. So initials. Let's see what else we got here. I made sure that all this stuff is accurate, that I'm not lying. This is only for business purposes. I will purchase American. Oh, look at this. I will purchase only American-made equipment and products. That's a new one. So you're sort of committing that whenever it's available, whenever it's feasible, you will purchase American-made. Interesting. I find that really interesting. I like that. So buy American. Then it says here, applicant is not engaged in illegal activity. Okay, that makes total sense. For applicants who are individuals, I authorize the SBA to request criminal records. Okay, that's pretty simple. And then it says here, certifications, the business and each of the 20% owners in good faith initial. So this is where you verify all these things, right? That it will be used for payroll, that you're uncertain about the future, blah, 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 etc. Then you sign the authorized representative. I guess that's the person that's helping the owner apply for the loan, signs as well. And then here it gives you sort of another summary. I think we've covered all this. I don't want to cover this again. Let's see what else we got here. Some statutes and laws, and that's it. So next action for you to take is contact your bank, figure out what the application process is, use these documents that I gave you, use all the data that I gave you to be prepared. You want to be first in line. you want to fill out accurate information, and you want to get approved for this because this will give you much needed help. Anyway, again, if you have any questions or something I didn't cover, put it in the notes below. Come back to this video often, check the description. All the additional info that comes out, I'm going to load it in the description. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I should be your favorite accountant for the rest of your life if you got all the information that you got in order to get your funding. So subscribe to the channel, support the channel by subscribing, sharing the videos, hitting like, adding comments. All that stuff helps me build this channel and helps me and encourage